Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. Hope everybody's doing well. Had a great weekend. I welcome in my co-host, boxing Hall of Fame writer and Michael Spink's biographer, Jack Hirsch. How are you, Jack?
Hey, just as grouchy now as I was before the show, Keith.
Nice.
The lights are on us, the camera's focused. I'm ready to go, ready to talk quick pace sports, ready to criticize you once again. Just ready.
Oh, just a normal day in the neighborhood. Awesome.
Normal day.
Listen, it looks like your wife might have made you take off that snapback mix hat.
I don't know. I got on my Nick, shirt and all. I'm showing my support. I've always liked the Knicks a great deal. I mean, I've been a Nets fan from the days of the ABA, but like I've said in the past shows, I've frozen my Nets membership, my Nets fandom. It's like when I go away out of town for a while, I freeze my gym memberships. I'm not paying for it. And when the Nets start showing some potential for winning again, I'll be back.
That's a great fair weather fan attitude to have.
No, I'm not that way with the Jets. I stick with the Jets all the time, so it doesn't reflect on my personality. But that's the big talk. Next. I mean, we're gonna talk about some other things on this show, but let's be honest. I mean, if you're from New York, that's all that's on everyone's mind in every way, shape, and form. I just hope, Keith, that this Knicks team is not too distracted with all the hoopla going around. Because if they're distracted, they're absolutely not going to win both games in Madison Square Garden. And I'll go a step further. If they're not distracted, the Spurs are going to come in and take both games at MSG. But with that said, this Knicks team strikes me as being professional enough. When they tell you they're only concentrating on one game at a time, all outside noise they've shut out, if that's really the case, and I believe it is, then I think they would be okay.
Taking it from the distraction point of view, I mean, there's a big distraction anyway when you're in the finals and all the attention. Your routine's off a little bit. Today, it's going to be off even more because of the president being at Game 3. The security measures aren't just going to affect the fans. They've told the fans to show up like 2 hours early because of TSA measures, basically at the entry, no bags, etc. There's got to be extra security with the players' entrance and whatnot, too. I got to think this is all going to be a distraction on both sides. This isn't just for the Knicks, but I mean, at this point, I would think it's kind of an unwanted distraction for the Knicks. But
well, there's a bit of a controversy, and we're not talking politics here in the slightest when we mention the president coming in, okay? No matter what you think of him one way or the other, that's not the issue here. Any president who would be coming in, we'd have this turmoil going on with security measures, no matter who the president was.
Exactly.
And some people feel that the president shouldn't come in because of the distraction it causes. Now, the watch party at Madison Square Garden has to get canceled.
I think there's two reasons for that, though, by the way. I think the disruption and the violence, some of the violence that happened during and after that party is part of the reason they canceled it as well, because there's going to be no more. Not just today, but no more entirely.
No, they said it was for one game.
I thought I read this morning. I may be wrong. I thought I saw this morning they said there would be no more watch parties.
Well, that's a major concern because I'm going to tell you, even if the Knicks take care of business, let's say they win the next 2 games, they sweep, they're the NBA champions, people are going to be going crazy in the streets. A store's going to be broken into. Is there going to be looting? Is it going to be absolute madness? Is violence going to be going on? The whole bit.
Don't you feel like it's
a major concern? Now, it's supposed to be a happy celebratory occasion, but unfortunately, a lot of people who come out, for these Knick, I don't want to say parties, these Knick happenings or whatever, any championship team, a lot of them aren't really fans. I mean, they hardly care about the Knicks. They've watched 4 Knick games in the last 11 years. No, for real, Keith.
I get
and
it.
now
No,
they're
I
going
agree.
crazy because
I
it's
agree.
the place to be. The weather's nice. The weather's beautiful as long as it's not raining. And it's the place to be. Oh, join everyone in the streets. Everyone's out having a great time. While we're at it, why not break into Macy's? Why not break into this store? Take these items. It's concerning.
It
And
sucks
then
for the real fans. It sucks for because only 20,000 people can get in that building. And by the way, it's costing about $20,000 to get in that building today.
and then the police are going to try to arrest people who are resisting arrest because they've gone overboard.
Yeah.
And then the police are going to get criticized. It's going to be messy, Keith, in all probability, no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what. And maybe this thing is a blessing in disguise to cancel the watch party, to tone things down a little for security measures. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
It's a shame that we can't keep the hooligans, if you will, out of these crowds, because I think it would really be great for the real fans of New York to be able to sit at different watch parties and be able to watch us around the state, around the MSG. But you can't have them near MSG, especially when the president's there. If they win this series in New York, the players' safety would be probably getting out.
Not the players. No, the players have a gold card. I was reading a book, Keith.
Hold on one second. There's safety when these people get going and get out of control. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, again, you'd have to have extra security around the players.
Oh, not the Knicks players. No, the Knicks players. Not the Knicks players. No, the Knicks win the championship. Take my word. Jalen Brunson and the rest of the Knicks could walk on the streets amongst the mob of people, and they'll protect them. That won't be a problem. Like I was reading a story with the Celtics with Larry Bird. They win the NBA championship, but they have to get to another part of town. So they get a lift from some people, strangers, kids, you know what I mean? They're taking them in the car. They can't believe it,
Yeah.
And, they go amongst the crowd, they'll whatever. The Knicks, I mean, if I'm San Antonio, you wonder whether there's going to be a little fact of intimidation at all. Once you're on the court, I don't think so. I think your head gets into the game immediately. And and who knows? I saw yesterday a clip. The Spurs leaving the Garden. They obviously were having practice earlier. And there's some fans across the street yelling at them as they're getting onto the bus. Now, they're young guys. Are any of them intimidated at all? Or maybe their youth works in their favor, that they can kind of laugh it off, because I saw the group walking. They're like young kids having, in a sense, maybe they're having a good time in a way. Maybe San Antonio's playing carefree, and maybe and probably they still think they can come back and win this series. I mean, as a competitor, you think that.
Well, you've got to think that. If you don't, you really shouldn't be even showing up today if you don't think you can win. But
Keith, early in the series.
But this Spurs team is not a bad team. They're not getting blown out of.
They're a good team.
I mean, I can make an argument as a Knicks fan that the Spurs have outplayed the Knicks for a good chunk of the first two games, except when it really matters and where it matters on the scoreboard. So this team could come back and win a game, or they could win two games here. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen, but we don't know. I mean, they could nick this up for sure.
I mean, so many things could happen in the next two games. The Spurs could win both games at the Garden, and then the Knicks could win Game 5 in San Antonio, and then wrap it up in the Garden in Game 6 the way we said. We both picked the Knicks in 6. Originally, I picked the Spurs because I think, like I said on yesterday's show, I think the Spurs are going to beat the Knicks in the NBA Finals, and then I said next year. I had it. I think the rematch, that's where the Spurs get their revenge. They dethrone the Knicks next year, and they do it decisively next year.
I'm not expecting any jumping off the bandwagon emails from you before the series starts next year.
I changed my mind at the last.
You did. It was before they started.
I gave it a lot of thought, because all along, I picked the Spurs to beat OKC, and I didn't go back on that. I thought the Spurs were maybe their time had arrived. They're the team of the future. And the more I thought about it, I really do think they're kind of a year away despite beating OKC. And in all fairness to OKC, even though I didn't pick them to beat the Spurs, had they been completely healthy, OKC might have won that series, okay? They might have won that series. They had a key injury to Jai Williams, and those things do matter. And at the end of the day, you can't take away credit from the team that wins, because like when the OKC won their championship, Halliburton got injured early in the game. So you can't quite use it as an excuse.
Well, I agree. And Derpy here is talking about Wemby and his international fame. They're not going to let, again, I'm not a big person, Derby, and I know you're kind of a newer viewer, and he says it's just him.
They're not going to allow them to get swept. Wait, don't let this guy off the hook.
I'm not. Hold on.
The officials are going to fix the...
Can I finish? I wasn't letting him off the hook. I was going to say the NBA is not fixing games so Wemby doesn't get swept. I'm not a game scripting conspirator or fixing games. I don't believe in any of that. Referees make mistakes.
I thank the person for the comments.
No, he does just say it's him. He just say it's just him.
No, I thank, but check with Sonia's show, because Sonia probably has that feed that it's all scripted,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
the NBA, they can't. The officials are not going to talk with the NBA. It's utterly ridiculous. It's not only ridiculous, it's criminal. It would be absolutely criminal. People would be going to jail.
Now, you can understand why sometimes I can understand why people get these thoughts in their head, like Derpy, because, there's a lot of money involved, and the TV needs it to go X amount of games for them to get their money back, too. I do not subscribe to those theories. I think, the games play out the way they're supposed to play out, with small exceptions here and there. But this stuff's too big, as you said. It's too big to actually fix it as well, no matter the money, because you'd never get.
We did have one case, official Tim Donaghy, but that was an independent thing.
Right. Isolated instance, right? And regular season games are, again, that to me, that doesn't really compare to this. We're talking about a league-wide conspiracy.
But what the league wants, there's a difference what the league wants.
Yeah,
100%. The league doesn't want to sweep. The league wants as many games as could be. The league wants at least 6 games. The Knicks to win it in 6.
Yeah.
I don't think the league will be thrilled if the Spurs win this series, come back and win it, because the Spurs have championships in their future, and this is it. This for basketball in New York would be off the rails. So if the NBA could script this thing out, they'd have the Knicks winning in 6 or 7. I say maybe one less game, because it would be at Madison Square Garden, Game 6, and it would be the perfect place for the Knicks to win it all. But in Game 7 gives you the maximum amount of games and ratings.
Well, we're on the same page, and I think even when you picked the Spurs originally, and you did change your pick, so everybody knows, we're on the same page that it is best for the NBA if the Knicks win this championship. It's very good when the Knicks are good and relevant, and they haven't won a championship in 53 years, and it's good for the league. So, again.
But you want to know the ironic part about this, Keith? If the Knicks do win the championship, and right now it looks good, and you compare them to the Knicks team, that lost to Chicago. I know it's to Chicago a number of times, but the Charles Smith missed putbacks in Game 5 of that series, and the Knicks ultimately lost in 6. That Knicks team, but that Knicks team is actually better than this Knicks team.
I would agree.
They actually were a better team than this Knicks team. But it depends the circumstance, who you're playing. We thought the Knicks, going into this playoffs, got a bum draw, that things didn't fall into place for them when you looked at the matchups. They got the Atlanta Hawks in the first round, one of the statistically best teams in the NBA the second half of the season. And then they fall behind 2-1 and they come back and win it. Then we thought they would have to play the Celtics and the Pistons, perhaps. What a tough road. But the Sixers moved the Celtics out of the way. And the Knicks have an easier matchup against the Sixers than they would against the Celtics. And then the Pistons, who are the Knicks' nemesis, get eliminated by Cleveland. And then and OKC, which would have been a handful for the Knicks. I would have favored OKC to beat the Knicks. OKC gets eliminated by San Antonio. So sometimes everything just falls into place.
The road breaks the way it breaks, and you can only play the teams that are in front of you. And again, we're going to hear people talk about the easy road the Knicks had, and I'm not going to buy that. Sorry, I'm not doing it. And the Knicks are on fire.
I don't hear easy road, but the point I'm making,
still got to win games.
Things bounce right for the Knicks, and I'm going to tell you, the way the Knicks have been playing, could anyone beat them? I mean, even though I thought OKC would beat the Knicks if they were matched up, I'm not so sure based on the way the Knicks are playing right now.
I'm not sure what Derby's saying here. And good morning to our good friend Taylor from Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, by the way. But were the fans, aka the consumers? I'm not sure what you're asking there. Again,
which fans have paid their tickets? I mean, $9,000 for like the last couple of rows or so. 9,000 a ticket.
More. That was before they won game 2. After they won game 2, those tickets doubled in value. It's like $20,000 to get in the building today. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
How many real fans are there?
Money. Some of them are thrifty. I have a buddy of mine. He's worth believe me, when I say a fortune, I mean a fortune on top of a fortune. He can easily afford those tickets without blinking.
Frank Laterzo, you're talking about.
Now, he invited me for the season ticket holder in Tampa for the Buccaneers. Anytime I want to come to a game, I'll have the greatest seats. I'll be in the clubhouse. I'll be this. But I called his bluff when the Super Bowl was being played in Tampa. I said, I'd like to come to a game now, finally. Like he would treat me. And he's saying, are you kidding me? It's $6,000 a seat? I'm not,
So you're not going to the Knicks game with him tonight, I take it?
No, well, he's in Florida. No. He'll take me to the Orlando Magic game. Give me $100 ticket.
I'm a big free market guy, and the price, need or what's the word I'm looking for? God, I can't think of what I'm trying to. Demand drives prices, right? So I get that, but it's kind of a shame that a lot of real fans that have been there probably all year are going to not be able to see this game.
Well, it's not. Now, wait. The NBA is not charging that money. That's money on the open market or something.
I'm not saying that. That's again.
You're right, Rick. That's a good one.
Yes,
that's like a 37%. About a third. Yeah. You know what I'll say, Rick.
It says Nets
I'm
on the
going to call myself. They have in sports minority owners. I'm a minority fan of the Knicks. How's that?
No, we can't.
I'm associated. Look, Magic Johnson's all over. You see him with the Washington Commanders. I mean, Magic hugging. The Dodgers. Magic with the Dodgers. Minority owner.
Well, listen, I don't want to see you over there overturning cars after they win the championship because, you're not really.
Well, I'm the guy trying to ride by in fear getting caught in the crowd. Man, can you imagine the fear? But that's what bothers me. If anything that violently can be done, that's the one thing about it. And there's got to be zero tolerance. Like that idiot the other day, he's jumping on top of the ambulance. I mean, don't misunderstand me. If it's someone who has no police record at all, anything, fine, deal with it a certain way, make them do community service for 90 days. Like it'll be a pain in the butt. You handle it how you have
more.
I got what you're saying. But if you're really holding up an ambulance from doing their job, it's wow. I mean, That's
if you're destroying property and causing havoc and fear in the streets, then you should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I'm not saying community service for any of these guys. Whatever the laws.
No, I'm talking about just the dumb thing, jumping on top of the cars, and someone doesn't have a record of ever doing anything wrong. I would then make them do community service a while. I'd have them cleaning up the streets for like.
Why can't I put them in jail for 90 days? Why can't I just put them in jail for 90 days? That'll teach them.
But just jumping on top of a car, and that's the worst. And that's the worst thing they've ever done.
That's the worst thing he did today. What's he going to do next time when he gets away with it?
No, I mean, that's why you're giving them the 90 days of community service.
Burn the car. Next time I'll burn the car. You know, I'm a big fan of law and order, and you have to treat these guys and people, women, whoever they are, and you have to treat them so that they won't have any incentive to do it again. Never. And again, the only way you do that is to treat them the harshest way possible.
Keith, you make them get up early in the morning, catch the bus because they got to be at the park 7 o'clock in the morning to rake leaves from 7 o'clock till 3 o'clock. And they have to clean up and they have to be there and they have to see and they're accounted for. And they have to do that for about 20 weekends. They'll get the message. I mean,
if I put them in prison for 20 weekends, they're going to get the message even more, by the way, than having to rake leaves.
Just jumping on top of a car and that's it.
Listen, if I had my choice between 90 days in prison and raking leaves, I'll take raking leaves all day long. Come on. Anyway. We're not going to stop it anyway. It really doesn't matter because, guys who are going to partake in that foolishness are going to keep doing it.
And you wonder whether the media glorifies it, but these watch parties, exactly, they're just parties. People hardly care about the game.
I agree.
But whatever. But what the next? But tonight, you kind of wonder if the Spurs win, it deflates the New York Knicks fan base. It really does.
A little bit.
It deflates it a lot because I think the fan base has gotten out of control. You see them with the brooms like they're sweeping. What are they sweeping? The Knicks are playing a team that's as good as they are. The only difference is the Knicks maybe played a tad better and won the first 2 games. The Spurs are capable of making adjustments. Yeah, the Knicks might win in 4. It's a possibility. I'm not dismissing it. But to have the broom out like it's inevitable, the Knicks are not playing the Philadelphia 76ers.
Fans are going to do that, Jack. Fans are going to do that. Fanatics, right? Fan is short for fanatics, and fanatics do stuff like that. It's not the players doing it. I don't think it incites the opposition to play better. If the players were out there with brooms after game 2, that'd be different. With fans doing it, though, that's the way fans behave, most of them. Not me.
With the next 2, several of their players, a couple of them in particular, are really, really performing big time. And Mikal Bridges, you can't say enough good about him in this series, hitting all the big shots. And he's been really maligned, Keith, because the Knicks gave up so much to get him. 5 number 1s. They thought it was insane. Knicks win this series. That deal is good forever. It's good forever. No matter what happens going forward, it would wind up being a great deal for the Knicks.
It had to be, but people focus so much on numbers and box scores. He was never going to come in here and average 20 points a game and 8 rebounds because he's not going to. That isn't his role. His role is like we talked about this. We talked about the 70s Knicks teams a lot. Marv Albert compared this team to the 70s Knicks team in the Post the other day. I see Bridges like a Bill Bradley. You watch him; he's moving all the time without the ball, all the time. And I love the way he plays and what he brings. And when he has a big night like he had in game 2, it's just gravy. And he helped pick up Brunson, who struggled until crunch time. Bridges and Cat have been very good. And Hart played great in game 1.
Karl Anthony Towns has been the MVP so far the first two games, without question. And what I like about Karl Anthony Towns, he's willing to go head-to-head with Wemby. And Karl Anthony Towns is showing he can more than hold his own with Wemby. I love game 2 when he dunked the ball in Wemby's face and more or less let Wemby have it. Said, what are you going to do about it? Do something about it.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I'm going to be doing this to you again. And, you know, Wemby is Wemby. You know,
sends a message, right? That's what you got to do. And that's what he did it early.
Are we expecting too much of Wemby? Are we too critical of him? Because I know I got a little carried away after game 1 against OKC when Wemby was out of this world against the Thunder. I thought to myself, you know, when all is said and done, Wemby's going to be considered the greatest player in the history of the game. I mean, when it's hyperbole. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
hyperbole, yes.
The guy is absolutely incredible. And I was even giving an example of Tim Duncan, a top 15 player of all time. Top 15. You might argue top 10, but let's say top 15. We could feel comfortable saying that. Great, great player. But the point is, I mentioned Duncan because he's the greatest player in the history of the San Antonio Spurs franchise. So that's why I mentioned Duncan's name. And I said, look, if they were each 21 years old, their whole career ahead of them, if you can guarantee me Wemby is going to stay healthy and Duncan is going to both stay healthy, I take Wemby over Duncan.
And then I said Duncan.
Yeah, you said Duncan, but we're not even considering the injury factor. They're both going to be healthy. Neither one is going to get hurt. But now, you know, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. You know, give me either guy with that. That's what I'm basically saying.
I've determined myself, my own, only my own research. I decided that Duncan is the most underrated superstar in the history of the NBA. He is. He's won 5 championships. He doesn't hardly ever get brought up in conversations about the best players in the history of the game. And fundamentally, he is the best player I ever saw in my lifetime. And I came up with this. It came up in the conversation on one of my shows about Larry Bird, and Bird was a great player, but not as fundamentally sound as Tim Duncan. And Duncan might have been as good as Bird, right?
Well, he may have been better. I mean,
might have been better. He might have been. I know that's religious, but
things are forgotten over time. If I want to do a little bit of a comparison based on built and everything. And the games at times would be similar, but they're different, but at times they'd be similar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, early in his career, and Wemby. People forget, early in Jabbar's career, he had a Game 7 of the championship series against the Boston Celtics when he may have been Lou Alcindor then. Did he change?
No, he was Jabbar by then. He was Jabbar.
Yeah. Jabbar is Game 7. He'd already been in the league a couple of years or whatever. Same with Wemby. Game 7 with the championship on the line against the Boston Celtics. Jabbar's on the Milwaukee Bucks. Dave Cowens gets the better of Jabbar in the Game 7. Everyone forgets that. Yeah. And talking about Jabbar's legacy, he got outplayed in the Game 7. People don't realize that. Listen, even Shaquille O'Neal, when Orlando got swept by the Houston Rockets, he got outplayed by Hakeem Olajuwon. And don't show me that the stats show it was close. I know what I saw. Hakeem Olajuwon took Shaquille to school for the most part. He took him to school.
He was a better player. I think overall.
He was a better player. Head-to-head, he was a better player.
100%.
At least in that series.
I think career-wise, I think Hakeem was a better player than Shaq. Again, fundamentals too.
He wasn't the force that Shaq was.
No, but again, I think he was a better basketball player than Shaq. Fundamentally,
but I could argue there was arguably at his peak there were greater players than Shaq, but maybe no greater forces. forces, you know?
I think about some of the players on that Houston team, not bad players, but not Kobe. Shaq didn't win anything without Kobe.
He won at Miami.
When?
After he left the Lakers, they won the championship.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. But
that's a bad example.
Dwayne Wade.
That is a very unfair example.
I don't know.
Because it's circumstances. Don't tell me you haven't won with someone else.
Did Hakeem ever play with anybody as good as Kobe or Dwayne Wade? Did he?
Clyde Drexler.
No, he was past his prime by the time he got to Houston. No,
I'll
Kobe as good as those two guys.
Hakeem never seemed to have a great number 2 option.
No, they brought in guys later on. After they won their championships, they brought in Drexler and they brought in Barkley. And that was, and Pippen. And they were grasping at straws then, just bringing in.
Yeah, look. They won Patrick Ewing.
They won the best. Vernon Maxwell and Eli, what's his name? He used to play here in Albany. Mario Ellie. That's the kind of guys Hakeem was winning championships with back to back.
Yeah, I can make this argument. Charles Oakley criticizing Ewing. Let's say hypothetically, Ewing had Scottie Pippen and Jordan had Oakley when they played in those series. You mean to tell me the Knicks may have won with Pippen and Ewing over Jordan and Oakley?
Kind of making my argument for me, right? The number 2 guy means a lot.
An awful lot. No question about it. It's a team game at the end. And LeBron, when he was until he had his second go round at Cleveland with Kyrie Irving, he never had a number 2 option that was, an exceptional player.
Hold on, he did in Miami. He had Dwayne Wade. So
before he got to Miami, when he was at Cleveland, LeBron the first time around.
I thought you said when he got to Cleveland with Kyrie, you said that was the second.
Kyrie was a great number 2 option.
That was the second time in Cleveland, right? He already had Dwayne Wade.
Second time in Cleveland.
Right.
And then when he got to the Lakers, LeBron had Anthony Davis, an outstanding number 2 option.
Agreed. You got to have that. You can't win these championships by yourself. And the Knicks aren't.
It's hard unless it's a weak type year and everything falls into place. Because if the Knicks win it and Brunson could continue to play like this for years to come, if Brunson does, he's going to be considered one of the great players, at least of his era. You could say he's that now, arguably, but the Knicks have to win this series.
He doesn't come up in conversation, though, Jack. I talked about this yesterday, too. He didn't even finish in the top 8 in the MVP voting this year. He doesn't get recognition. We talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Have that great regular season. Maybe that had a lot to do with this.
But forget about the numbers. If you take him off that team, how many games the Knicks win if he's not on this team? 40?
Well, then he could do with any star on any team, for the most part.
No, I can't say that. I mean, Cade Cunningham, the Pistons were like 11-3 without him this year. Knicks won 2 games without Brunson this year.
Listen, Brunson's a great player. There's no question about it. But
I'm not saying he's the MVP. I'm saying he needs to be in the conversation a lot more than he is.
Look at this.
What happened? That's what's got the nets on the back.
You see this?
Brunson. So, yeah, you're a total front runner. I love it.
You see, there you go.
Jack doesn't go and take half measures when he's jumping on the bandwagon. He's all in. We like that.
But yeah, right. But the Knicks have to win this series. If they don't win it, Brunson takes a hit because if you're a superstar, you don't blow a 2-0 lead. I'm going to tell you what sticks in my mind too. A conversation I had years ago with someone, a coworker years ago. He was from Dallas. He was living in Dallas, and we were just talking about Shaquille O'Neal having that one championship with the Heat. The Mavs were up 2-0, and he told me Dallas was celebrating and they were planning their parade, their NBA championship parade. The whole city was celebrating in Dallas. Then they lost their next 4 games.
Right.
And it kind of, and if I'm a Knicks fan, take heed. It is not over yet. You're very comfortable. You're up 2-0. there's a feeling in New York of inevitability that we're going to be celebrating the championship, okay? But if San Antonio wins tonight, I mean, are the Knicks fans going to start getting a little nervous, feeling, could we actually blow this thing?
Yeah, I don't. Quietly, they might be. They're not going to loudly say that. They're going to come out and be just as raucous in Game 4 as they are in Game 3 for sure.
Oh, they are. Oh, the noise in the garden will be big, and I'll tell you this.
Definitely.
Hypothetically, if the Knicks lose both at the Garden, lose Game 5 to San Antonio, the fans are going to will them to victory in Game 6.
Agreed. Go back to Brunson for a second. You and I had this conversation, and I know you disagree. I'm telling you, I think if they win this series, Brunson moves up to number 2, ahead of Ewing, as in the Knicks fans' eyes, as the all-time greatest Knick. Walt Frazier's the greatest. It always will be. But I think he...
Wait. You're getting me confused. A lot of people think Willis Reed is the greatest. Willis Reed always said, and he meant it, Willis. Wasn't just being nice. Willis meant it, that Patrick Ewing was the greatest Knick of all time. Honestly speaking, the best Knick player, just looking at things on the surface, really was Patrick Ewing.
I think it's Frazier.
Patrick Ewing was the best Knick player. I think what we hold against Patrick Ewing is that he didn't win. I mean, who did he have as his number 2, Keith? You're telling me how important number 2 is? Who was his number 2 option?
I'm not saying...
Who the heck was his number? John Starks?
Oh, no.
Charles Oakley?
John Starks isn't even a great player. No.
Okay, that was number 2.
I'm really, again, winning is the ultimate. That's what you play for, right? And I understand he didn't have a great number 2. That's not his fault. But you
hold it against him.
I will, yeah, because he didn't win a title.
If Jordan didn't have Pippen, how many championships could he have won? Maybe he would have won.
He still would have won, but not 6.
He would have 6. Jordan would have won without Pippen. Without Pippen, you give him just a decent player there. You know, no more than a decent player. Maximum, he would have won 2 championships.
I said he would have won, not 6.
Probably 1 championship. He would have found a way to win 1 of them. And
but Patrick didn't find a way to win any. He didn't find a way to win any. He's a great player. Really. Is it that bad to be saying you're number 3 because Frazier's the best? I'm sorry, it's not Ewing, it's Frazier. He's the best.
I could make an argument, not as a Knick, because he sacrificed his game, that Earl Monroe was maybe better than Frazier.
Might have been.
Earl Monroe at his peak, but when he came to the Knicks, Monroe completely sacrificed his game for the good of the team. If I have to talk about the ultimate team player in all sports, the greatest team player of all time, off the top of my head, I'll tell you Earl Monroe.
It's fair.
Because this guy was a superstar who sacrificed everything for the good of the team. And it resulted in him being an NBA champion. But was he better off? That's a great debate. What Monroe for himself, his legacy, was he better off doing what he did, or would he have been better off just being the individual Earl Monroe? Because he would have just been outstanding, on a so-so team.
That is a great question, actually, because he made, and you're right, whether he's the best team player is up for debate, but I will tell you, he may be the best player who downsized his game. Good, that's better terminology. Downsized his game for the better of the team. He did, because he was.
Let me throw this at you too, and the way people are petty. If the Knicks win this series, okay, and Karl Anthony Towns is voted the series MVP, are people still going to elevate Brunson the greatest Knick of all time? Because people are going to say, well, he wasn't the MVP of the series, so how can you say that?
My guess would be, Jack, if they win, he's going to get it, just like quarterbacks get it. And I'm not saying he should. I'm just saying, because we don't know. There's a lot of basketball to play yet, right? My guess is he's going to get it either way, just like a quarterback gets it in the Super Bowl when he doesn't deserve
it. It didn't happen with Sam Darnold this year.
Yeah.
Walker got the MVP, but in people's minds, Darnold gets the same amount of credit if he'd been Super Bowl MVP, because now Sam Darnold, no matter what happens, people can't really say, well, he was an underachiever. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yeah. I just think Brunson will get it either way. I expect him to play better right away. I expect him to play very well in front of the home crowd tonight. Very well.
Yeah, Wemby, too, he's played some outstanding defense clogging up the middle. Just his presence there. His presence has been a problem on defense. But if the Knicks are hitting their shots, they're fine. And they've been finding ways to wear Wemby down a bit, not completely. Obviously, he had a big second half of game 2. He really, really came on. There were the unfortunate blunders at the end, the errant pass. I saw a replay at that pass to Stephen Castle. Castle kind of turned around and looked at Wemby for a moment, and then Wemby released the ball and hit him on the back. So from Wemby's,
doesn't it feel like the guards should be coming back for the ball there anyway? I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. The offense. You want Wemby to set up under the basket.
Yeah, I don't
but
get
you could feed him the ball. What on earth is everyone else running down the court and Wemby's dribbling it up? I don't get it, Keith. I know Wemby can handle the ball. I mean, kudos to him. Just because you're a big, giant guy and you're stereotype type player, they think you're big. You're 7'4". You can't handle the ball. He can dribble the ball really well. I mentioned Jabbar before. Jabbar could have played guard to an extent. He could really dribble well, Jabbar.
Yeah.
But what the heck are they doing, San Antonio? I mean, I even know that. I mean if I were coaching them, and I'm a novice, a complete novice coach, from junior varsity and high school level.
I think it plays
into
that
Wemby is not bringing the ball down.
I think it plays into the overall inexperience of this team and maybe the coach, right? That nobody's looking for the basketball, and Wemby's thinking I should get this to a guard, and he throws it to a guard who's got his back turned.
But you practice these things over and over and over. If it's a tie game at the end, Wemby, you take it down the court. You guys, this. But Wemby gets down the court.
When you haven't been there, the game's moving pretty fast, and you do some silly things. And I think 2 guys did silly things on that play. Not just Wemby. It's not all his fault, for sure. Right?
I'm a little less critical on the final shot. A little less. I thought the ball should have been gotten to Wemby on the low post, where he could have either drawn a foul, or once he gets it on the low post, he's so difficult to stop at that point. But I also understand Wemby had a really good look. That was an extremely nice. Yeah, he had a really good look, and Wemby's a decent shooter.
He's a very good shooter.
I'm not as critical, even though it wasn't the play I would have had. Definitely not.
I don't know if they had a timeout. Did they have a timeout in that situation? Do you know? I don't remember.
I don't think they did.
They must not have. I wouldn't think they would push the ball.
You only want the timeout if you can't get the ball in.
Yeah.
They had no difficulty getting the ball in.
Yeah. No, I have no fault with the shot. I mean, he shoots very well from the outside. So,
yeah.
I mean, no chance for a foul, really. But what are you going to do? Lots going on in New York, by the way. You're in the New York area. I'm assuming you don't have to drive into the city, because I would think gridlock's going to be a problem here this week. You've got people flying in all over the world for the World Cup starting this week. You've got the Mets at home, you got the Knicks at home, and you got the President of the United States in New York City. It's got to be a disaster trying to get around the city today.
Well, I don't know. Games are being played all over the place. So why would all the people be flying just to New York? I
saw a story on the news last night where there are like tens of thousands of people coming in from other countries to New York for what's being played at MetLife or whatever we call that stadium in New Jersey. So again, I think there's a lot going on in the city. I don't live there. I'm upstate, so I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But it's going to be a little bit of a nightmare this week. Before we get done with the NBA, Stacey King, we were talking about the Bulls earlier, 59 years old, former Bull, won 2 championships, I think, with Michael Jordan, the first run. And a Bulls broadcaster passed away at 59 years old, as I said, I think yesterday or Saturday. Very sad. Nobody knows. I haven't seen anything about his cause of death. He's a big man. So it could be pretty much anything. But the Bulls organization, and very sad. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Stacey King and friends and family. One other thing, actually, I'm not going to go away from the NBA yet. Viewership. We talk about how good the Knicks are and Wemby for the NBA. 17 million viewers for game 1 versus 8 point something last year. Almost 100% increase for game 1 year over year for the NBA Finals. That's huge. And that tells you when you get a good storyline, the Knicks are a great storyline and Wemby's a great storyline, people will watch.
Yeah, what would the ratings have been had the 2 teams that lost in the conference finals been in the finals? The Cavaliers and OKC.
I don't think that it got to 8 million. I don't know.
Nah. James Harden, Donovan Mitchell for Cleveland, a little bit of a buzz, and OKC defending champions. They still would have done about half of it. I think they would have done under 10 million.
I think, and maybe it's just to kind of pivot to the NHL for a second, because I want to talk about that series quickly before we're done. The Vegas is up 2-1 after a wild game 3, but they only had 4 million viewers for game 1. I had some debate with some guys about that the NHL would push the NBA for viewership. Not even close.
I don't think any NHL matchup would have had significantly more viewers, maybe a couple of million if you had a team like the Boston Bruins, the Montreal Canadiens, the Boston Bruins, whatever combo.
Now, in fairness, they're on ESPN. That's like double ESPN's normal viewership, right? So that's still pretty good, I guess. But
the games, the finals on ABC too. To keep that in mind.
Oh, it is on ABC. That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
That's a great point.
I mean, it's just I can't think of any one particular matchup in hockey that would really bump their ratings up tremendously because there are no particular players.
You need a Gretzky.
Who stand out like a Wayne Gretzky, a Bobby Orr. There's not that dynamic box office attraction. That's what makes the NBA Finals special. You have the one super attraction, and that's Wemby. You have Brunson's not the box office attraction. It's he's just the leader of the Knicks team. And there's the New York buzz. Don't underestimate it because fans outside of New York all over the country, they keep seeing New York on the news, the national news, the this, the that, New York, New York, New York.
Well, it's polarizing.
They kind of get into the series because it's not just an NBA story, not just a Knicks story. It's a New York story, in part.
Well, there are a lot of people watching this series rooting against New York. That's what polarizing.
Partly too, yeah, a good combo, yeah. And a lot of people. You kind of wonder, Wemby hasn't come across as a villain yet.
No, I don't.
All over. He hasn't quite done things. He'll be a villain in time eventually. He'll probably embrace that role. But
if he were to level one of those elbows like he did against Minnesota, I think he might become a villain in this.
But I'm going to tell you, if they weren't playing San Antonio, the only other team that would have created actually a bigger buzz would have been the Lakers with LeBron coming in again with, Luka and the gang. That would have been a big buzz. Minnesota with Anthony Edwards. He's charismatic, box office. That would have created a buzz.
But he's not a name across the country, is he? I don't think he's a household name.
The media would have eaten up Anthony Edwards.
Casual fans don't know who Anthony Edwards is, though. They think he's an actor on TV, probably. So
I don't know. Jokic, if Denver came in, he may have been the big villain. Who knows?
casual fans know him.
But San Antonio and the Knicks are the best possible NBA matchup. If the NBA could have put two teams in there to create the biggest buzz, those are the two teams, and they just happen to get them. Hockey doesn't have that.
Agreed.
I
And
mean,
guys like Mitch Marner.
especially when a guy like you, Keith, all you focus on is John Tortorella, the Las Vegas Golden Knights coach.
Well, he's had a great effect on the team.
Focus on a coach the whole time. It doesn't have the buzz. Who gives a darn thing to make faces on the bench?
Well, to your point, Mitch Marner comes in and scores gets a hat trick in like 6 minutes of the second period the other night. Nobody knows who Mitch Marner is outside of hockey.
Exactly.
Right?
They hear that this guy set a record for getting the hat trick in the quickest amount of time. In the playoffs, finals, or whatever.
This has been the NHL's problem forever. Is they don't really market. I mean, when they get a Gretzky, they get a Lemieux, they know how to market them, but they don't seem to be able to market.
They maybe don't have those guys. Look, if the Devils were in the finals with Jack Hughes, okay? I mean, you could market like a young star like that.
Yeah, well, because of his Olympic success, they could play off that as well. So, but
yeah, exactly. And it's not hockey's fault completely. You can only market what you have to market.
And this has been a great series, and it's a shame that more people aren't aware of what's going on here because it's been a crazy, wild, fun series, I think, for the Stanley Cup Finals. That Game 3 had everything you could want, right? You got controversy. You got guys setting records of hat tricks in 3 minutes. You got 3 goals in 39 seconds.
I'm predicting Colorado's down 2-1. I'm predicting Colorado comes back and wins the series.
I will say there's 1,000% chance Colorado can't come back and win the series because it's Carolina. So.
Oh, it's Carolina. I'm sorry.
I was going to take your bet and bet you by.
Talk about the Hurricanes here.
I was going to match our retirement funds.
Yeah. There you go, Colorado, Carolina. I mean, what the heck?
Well, we don't. That's the problem, And again, there's 2 teams. Vegas has been very visible since they came into the league, but maybe they're a villain. I don't know. If they're a villain now, I think with Tortorella on the sideline. That's a great question too. Has Vegas become a villain in the NHL in a very short period of time? They've only been in the league what?
Well, he only came in Tortorella with 8 games left in the regular season. So, in a way, you wonder, does he deserve to even get the accolades if Vegas wins it?
He's the ultimate NHL villain, John Tortorella, because he's a Billy Martin. We talked about this. He's a Billy Martin of hockey. He comes in, he has an immediate effect, and then he quickly, loses his grasp on the team. If he wins this whole thing, I think it'd be very fitting if he got fired in the offseason because that'd be the ultimate John Tortorella story. So, do any coffee shops have promo sports cards? Tim Hortons up here has hockey cards. I don't even know if you can get hockey cards in the States.
Yeah, where's up here located?
He's in Canada. He's in Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Or north of Toronto.
Oh, yeah. Toronto, I mean, wow, what a hard luck city. No, they did win an NBA championship.
Well, they won back-to-back World Series, too, in the 90s.
That 92-93, they did. But they had the ultimate heartbreak in the World Series last year. The ultimate heartbreak. That series, they literally came a couple of inches, literally and figuratively, from winning that World Series. They had in their grasp. And and we talked hockey a moment ago, the frustration of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, is there more frustrated NHL franchise than the Maple Leafs? Now, that would be a story. It seems nearly unfair
when they win.
Carolina, Las Vegas is going to win. One of them is going to win the cup. You'd think the suffering fans of Toronto would deserve it more.
When they win, they won in the 60s, didn't they?
66, I think it was. Yeah, they beat the Canadians, I think, in 6 games. There was 2 games apiece that series, and the Canadians won game 4, as I recall. Look that up. I'll be pretty sharp. I'd be a hockey expert. Game 4, the 66 series, Canadians evened it up 2-2 with the Maple Leafs, and it looked like they had all the so-called momentum. Montreal's finally going to get it done once again in Toronto and turn them back the next two.
I'm just
They won it.
administrative assistant here. Hang
If
on.
I get this right, man, oh man, hockey fans will be looking with their mouths open, figuring we didn't know Jack knew that much, and Jack probably didn't.
1967.
67.
67. They defeated Montreal Canadiens in 6 games to win that was their 13th championship, by the way.
Well, they won in 6 games over the Canadiens, correct?
Yeah. Geez, I mean, to that point, they might have been the best. They might have the most championships in NHL history at that point in time, maybe.
No.
13 by 1967.
Wow, I didn't realize they had that many in their history.
Neither.
If you ask me which one would have the most obvious, the obvious answer would have been the Montreal Canadiens. But
at that point in time, I would think the Canadiens have more than that now.
Yeah, they have guys like Pete Mahovlich.
Let's see. Canadiens have 24. The Maple Leafs are second still with 13.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the Canadiens are first, like you
yeah.
thought.
And maybe
they
might have been ahead of the Maple Leafs at that point if they had 24 now. So good job. Good job, Jack. You're close. That's not bad. I got them.
Yeah, well, look at that 2-1. Carolina's down 2-1. I
picked Vegas before this series, and I'll stick with Vegas in 7 games.
Vegas, I mean, blowing a 4-0 lead. Had they not won it in overtime, what would their mindset have been going into Game 4? That may have really deflated them completely.
Well,
if you blow a 4-0 lead going into the final period and you lose the game, how do you emotionally bounce back from it?
After blowing a lead in Game 2, they also blew a lead in Game 2, so that would have been very difficult to come back from. I agree.
If I'm the Knicks, I tried to have a mindset. We lost Game 2. We're 1 game apiece. We absolutely have to win this Game 3 at the Garden. We're 1 game apiece with these guys. If I'm Mike Brown, I'm saying, guys, it's 1 game apiece. It's 1 game apiece. Forget the W's and L's in the past.
Mike Brown's done a great job, too.
We deserve to win 1 game. They deserve to. They should have won 1 game. We got lucky. We won a game. You got to prove you're better than them. And it's not just winning the series. Winning the series won't prove you're better than them. You got to show that you're a better team. And right now we're even. That's the mindset.
You know, I guess my last thought for today's show will be this, that I've been very tough on James Dolan, as you know, and also Leon Rose specifically for getting rid of Tom Thibodeau. But Mike Brown has done a tremendous job here. And kudos to Mike Brown for putting all that noise behind him. And he's done a great job. He's made in-game adjustments. He's done everything you need a coach to do to get them this far. So kudos to Mike Brown. And
Mike Brown's a proven coach. You know, he was a coach of the year, Sacramento. I mean, he wasn't the biggest impact hire.
No.
But when they hired him, I said, look, he's a good, solid coach. Let's not forget that. I mean, they didn't just hire any like bozo. You know, he had a good track record, Mike Brown.
I saw a great comparison with Mike Brown and Tom Thibodeau to Joe Torre and Buck Showalter.
It's
kind of makes a little sense, right?
Listen. The only difference is I know the Yankees probably would have won with Showalter as they did with Torre in all probability. We don't know for sure. Probably Thibodeau. I think they would have gotten to the finals, but the point is this. Would Thibodeau have used his bench as effectively as Brown has? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it. I kind of feel they would have been fine with Thibodeau too, but I can't say so with absolute certainty because he did a poor job using his bench last year. And then he started shaking things up in the playoffs. And that's not the time you shake things up.
Well, the bench was also pretty bad.
That's a move of panic.
The bench was pretty bad, in fairness to Thibodeau, but I get it. Anyway, we used up all our time, Jack. Great job. Give us a little. You got tonight's Glove Fist with Frank at 7 p.m. Eastern. Anything we should be looking forward to there?
No, it's kind of slow with, boxing right now. We're probably going to talk about a lot of old-time stuff, a lot of old-time fighters.
Oh, that's the best. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. So anyway, catch Jack and Frank Laterzo tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern here on the McGrath Podcast Network. We thank all the groups and everybody else. Guys, you have a great Monday. For Jack, it's Keith. See you later. Bye-bye. Uh-oh. I can't get my play out here. Well,
One line.